Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Michael Ditchfield. I'm a voice implementation consultant with SouthTech. I'm also joined today by Decoo and Chad Goble. Henry is our business development and marketing manager, and Chad is the chief technology officer here at SouthTech. So they can help out with some of these sales related or more technical questions that you might have today. So as I go through the presentation, please feel free to take advantage of that Q&A feature on the screen. Submit any questions that you might have, and we'll make sure we circle back on those and get those questions answered for you. So today we're going to be talking about Microsoft Teams, a highly effective collaboration and conferencing tool that can instantly connect members of your team no matter where they're working. In Microsoft's own words, Teams is a software application that employees can effectively live inside of while they work. What that means is that ideally, the average employee can spend their entire workday operating out of Teams. In addition to normal everyday use, it's also incredibly helpful for remote work and, for example, in the case of emergencies where it may not be safe to travel to the office, such as a hurricane or a pandemic, for instance. So when we say that Teams is a collaboration tool, what does that actually mean? Teams is a huge asset to any business that utilizes technology because it enables your entire workforce to stay connected and to access the critical information they need from anywhere, whether that's a laptop, a tablet, or even a mobile device. As part of the Microsoft Office 365 suite, Teams integrates seamlessly with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint, etc. So you can share files and documents and suggest edits in real time on a living document with your coworkers. Teams is also a conferencing tool that gives your team members the ability to instantly communicate through chat, audio, and high-quality video calls. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Over the rest of this presentation, we're going to touch on all the major features and functions that Microsoft Teams can offer to help your team communicate more efficiently. So we've talked about what Teams is, so now here's a brief overview of some of the features and what it can do. Teams gives you multiple ways to communicate. There's video conferencing, audio-only calls and conferencing, and chat messaging between individuals or groups. There's also a main hub for your company that includes news feeds, also known as channels, specifically designed around your organizational structure. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but for now, just think of channels as essentially like a private Facebook page or a custom group for your team members with all of the major features and functions that you'd see on other popular social media platforms. With all of these different ways to stay in touch, your team members will always be able to reach each other easily. It doesn't matter if one employee is out in the field, maybe you've got another person working from home, maybe you've got a third employee who's actually in the office. Teams is the perfect way to keep everybody connected. We already touched on file sharing and how Teams has the ability to integrate with all Microsoft 365 applications. This is a great feature and it's super flexible. You can share files with an individual in a private chat. You can also send them in a group chat message, or you can share with your entire organization in a specific channel or newsfeed so that anyone with access to that channel could easily view those documents in real time. Teams is also an incredible tool for communication with people outside your organization, such as clients, vendors, or other business associates. The video conferencing tool is especially popular these days with so many people working remotely. You can also host presentations or webinars, and inviting folks from outside your organization to join a video conference or a webinar, a presentation, it's a very simple process. And the best part is they don't even have to have the Teams app installed. They can easily join a meeting from a web browser. So before we go any further, I did want to briefly touch on the fact that there are actually two versions of Microsoft Teams. There's a free version and a paid version, and we've mapped out the differences on this slide. The free version does have some limitations, but most of the paid features are included, which is nice for anybody that wants to try before you buy. The good news is that the paid version of Teams is automatically included in most Microsoft 365 subscriptions. So if you're using the full Office suite, chances are you probably have Teams already. The biggest difference between the free and the paid version is the storage per user. So if you're frequently working with large files or high-res images, you're going to run out of storage space pretty quickly on the free version, but you can see there's a massive upgrade in storage on the full version. You can schedule meetings in advance with both versions, but again, there are some limitations with the free version. Another big difference is that if you have the full version, you can record your meetings, and that's a really useful feature because, as you might have noticed, getting a bunch of people all together at the same time is a bit more challenging these days than it's been in the past. So if someone missed a meeting or is unavailable for whatever reason, no problem, you can just send them the recording. Getting Teams set up for your organization may require the assistance of your IT contact. To get the full functionality of Teams, you're going to want to make sure that you've properly integrated it with your other Microsoft 365 applications, chiefly SharePoint. We recommend that your Teams infrastructure follow your SharePoint infrastructure. That way, your team members won't have to learn a whole new way of keeping things organized. When we say build your infrastructure, we're talking about a feature that we're going to touch on in the next slide called channels. And channels, again, are basically, it's just a way to organize and grant access to your different team members. Each channel gets its own administrator and its own news feed. And it's best to create channels and model them after your SharePoint infrastructure. That way, it's easy to grant access to the required documents and libraries for each department. So for instance, your sales team could have access to the sales documents, your marketing team would have access to the marketing documents, and so on and so forth. Unless you're an extremely tech-savvy person, the process of configuring custom channels can get a little confusing, which is why we recommend that you leave that to the same IT person that built your SharePoint library. So we've talked about channels. Let's take a closer look at that. So channels are like subsections of your organization that coexist within teams. They can be as wide or as granular as you like, and they can include as few as one team member or your entire organization. Channels can be public and accessible to all team members, or you can also create private channels for select team members only. Each channel can be set up with their own administrators as well. And channels can also be further divided into subcategories so that one team can have multiple threads of discussion going at once. Say, for example, you build a channel for your business development department. You could take that channel and then create separate discussion threads for sales, marketing, and any other miscellaneous categories, respectively. This allows you to keep the channel news feeds clean and organized, and it helps your employees know which discussions should go where. Channels operates just like a news feed or a timeline on any other popular social media platform. So for example, a team member could post a message to a channel, and any other team members with access to that channel could then react or comment on that post. If you have a message or question for your team, you can actually tag the entire channel, or you can tag specific individuals as well. Any team members that were tagged are going to get a little notification or alert that they were tagged, and they can quickly respond directly to that post, or they would have the option of sending you like a direct message as well. One thing to be aware of is that it is possible for users to turn off or disable their notifications. So generally speaking, you wouldn't use channels if you needed an immediate response to an emergency situation. That would be a good example of a time where it might be better to make an audio call, or you could use the direct message or chat feature. So speaking of the chat or instant messaging feature, let's take a look. So it's actually very straightforward. Text chats allow you to instantly message any member of your organization privately. You can also easily create a group chat if you need to send a message to more than one person. The screenshot included here shows you what your text chat is going to look like. On the left, you'll have a list of your most recent chats, which is nice. If you routinely talk to 3 or 4 people and you need to quickly access the history of your conversations with them, they're going to show up in that left-hand column. There's also a search bar at the top of the screen that will help you find any team member that you haven't messaged recently. Like if you don't see their name in that column on the left-hand side, you can just type their name in the search bar at the top and find them very quickly. So the right side of the screen that takes up the bulk of the page is the actual chat message with the person you're talking to, with your coworker. So just like in channel news feeds, you can send pictures, GIFs, emojis. You can react to messages that were sent to you in a private chat as well. So again, the private chats are much better for getting faster responses than a general news feed post in a channel. They're also ideal for when you're discussing information that's maybe sensitive or doesn't necessarily need to be broadcast to your entire organization. So just as an example, let's say you were discussing a situation with your HR person about an employee who maybe needs disciplinary action. You could private message the HR rep, and then when you're ready, you could add that employee to the chat. So this would create a brand new chat thread, and the employee would not be able to see anything that you talked to the HR person about, because that's a completely separate conversation. So again, the privacy is really nice. It's very intuitive. It works just the way it should and just the way that you'd want it to. One last thing is that you can also initiate audio and video calls with the person or the persons that you're chatting with directly from this screen. And I'll talk to you more about that on the next slide. Video conferencing is one of the most attractive features of Microsoft Teams, and certainly one that's in high demand given the state of our current business climate. There's so many video conferencing tools out there right now, and for most people, which one you choose is just kind of a matter of personal preference. The advantage of choosing Microsoft Teams is that video calling a team member for a quick chat is literally as simple as clicking a button. There's no complicated meeting codes or ID numbers, just one click and you're connected. This feature is easily accessible through the private chat screen like we discussed on the last slide, and it can be used to form group calls like the one we have screenshotted here for you. So if you look at the 3 little icons on the left-hand side, you're going to see the option to initiate a video call, an audio-only call, or you can also share your screen with the person that you are chatting with. Sometimes you're going to need to include people outside of your organization on a call, like a customer or a client or a vendor, and Microsoft Teams makes this very easy. To add someone to a conference call, all that person needs is a link to join the meeting. They don't need to worry about installing Teams on their own device either, because again, Teams does have a browser version that literally anybody can use. So it's as easy as sending an invite to your guest, and before you know it, they'll be joining the call just like they were any other member of your team. So one last thing on the video conferencing features. Microsoft just recently expanded some existing features. So you can now have up to 49 users on screen at the same time, whereas before I think it was about 10 or less. They've also introduced some brand new features like the ability to upload your own custom background like I have, or you can choose from any one of their stock images as well, like a picture of the beach or a mountaintop or an actual office in the background. This is a great feature to have if your kids have left you no choice but to work from the kitchen or the laundry room. Nobody wants to see that in the background, right? So there's also a brand new feature, and literally like they just rolled this out. It's a new feature called Together Mode, which you can see on the left. Instead of just seeing everyone in rows, you can switch to this view, which eliminates the square frames in the backgrounds, and it just kind of makes it feel a little bit more like everybody is all together in the same room. So that's a nice new feature as well. It's great to be able to instantly video call and screen share with the click of a button, but frequently we need to schedule meetings in advance, especially when we're working with people outside of our organization. So you can schedule Teams video meetings through Teams itself or through Outlook. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a bit. This is a great way to include guests from outside your organization on video calls, because again, that email invite is going to contain a link to join the meeting. All they have to do is click on that link, and then they can choose to join through the app if they already have Teams installed, or they can just choose the option to join through the web browser. You can also host a live event. So live events is another great feature on Teams that allows you to host an event such as an all-company meeting or maybe a webinar, and these can be recorded as well. Live event mode gives total control of the call to a designated person or persons, and it mutes all other participants automatically. So that's a great way to ensure that your meeting stays on track and that you're not going to get interrupted by attendees trying to screen share or having multiple people talking over each other at the same time. Live event mode is a great feature to use in those circumstances. Okay. So now we've reached the part of the demonstration where I'm actually going to show you Teams in a live environment, a demo environment. So if you'll give me just a moment, I'm going to stop sharing this PowerPoint and I'm going to switch over and share my screen on the Teams demo. Okay. So this is Microsoft Teams. So right now we're on kind of like the main or home page of Teams, which is the actual Teams tab right here. So I'll go over all of these tabs and what they do first. So, and then we'll look at them in depth in just a little bit. So the activity tab right here, that looks just like what you'd see on Facebook. This is going to be your notification tab. So if somebody were to tag you or post something in a channel that you are a member of, you'll see a little notification pop up, again, just like you would on Facebook. So that's your activity tab. This is the chat tab right here, which is the home for all of your private conversations that you've had with individuals or group chats. So again, we're on the Teams tab right now. There's also a Teams calendar. So if your Teams has been set up properly by an IT professional, your Teams calendar should sync with your Outlook calendar as well. So that's really nice. We'll talk more about that in a bit. This is the audio only section here if you wanted to make an audio only call to a team member. There's also a robust help section right here. So if you're having questions, you're not sure how to do something, you can just click on the little help tab. That's a very, very good resource to be aware of right down there. Okay. So again, I'm going to do a deep dive on these tabs in just a minute. But the first thing I want to show you over here is the avatar for myself. I am a member of a company called Star Sales LLC. For the purposes of this demo, I am Luke Skywalker. You're going to see some familiar names and faces here as we go through this demo. So that's me. I'm Luke over here. Got my handy dandy lightsaber. So there's a lot of things that you can do from this tab. One of the most important things you can do is set your status. So right now I am set to available. If I wanted to change that, I could set my status to busy or do not disturb, be right back, appear away, etc. So if I set it to busy, you're going to see the little color of my icon change, so I can tell at a glance what my status is currently set to. So if I was doing something really important, like I was doing a webinar or maybe on a call with a client or something, I could set my status to do not disturb. Okay, so now you can see the do not disturb icon. Your status is set to do not disturb. You'll only get notifications for urgent messages and from your priority contacts. So what that means is that if you go in and you configure priority contacts, do not disturb basically means that you're not going to get interrupted by your coworkers, right? But maybe you want to keep an open line of communication with your direct supervisor, or maybe like the CEO or the president of the company, if they're messaging you frequently, you still want to be able to get those messages in a timely manner, you can set those people as priority contacts. And you can do that from here where it says change settings, or you can go to the settings tab underneath your profile right here as well. So we're going to go over to privacy, and this is where I can manage priority access. So again, you can go through and customize any member of your organization and figure out who you want to be a priority contact, somebody that could get through your do not disturb wall, okay? Some other settings you can change, the theme. Right now we're on the default theme, which is just kind of like the plain white background. You can also switch to the dark theme, which is really popular. This is kind of nice. It's a little bit more modern. It reduces a little bit of the eye strain as well. So you can definitely go with the dark theme if you want to. There is also a high contrast theme, and I'll just show you what that looks like real quick. So I'll be candid with you. This is not personally my favorite view, but some people really love it, obviously. If that was not the case, this would not be an option. So you may be looking at that right now and thinking, you know, that is just perfect. And, you know, if you like that view, absolutely go for it. So I am going to just go ahead and return to the default setting, just because this is what you're going to see when you first use the program. Okay. So you can also manage your notifications. You know, what type of alerts do you want to get for all of these different types of things? So again, you got to be careful with this. You don't want to turn them all off. That way nobody is going to be able to reach you. But, you know, if you're getting slammed with notifications, there's a lot of customization here. So you can customize how and when you get your alerts. Okay. So I also want to show you the set status message. And if your organization can commit, like everybody does this, it's so great. If you can commit to staying on top of your status and your status messages, this is what's really going to eliminate the distractions and the interruptions if everybody in your organization commits to using this. So I can type a status message. For instance, I could say like, you know, at lunch, back at 2 p.m. Okay, and I can show this when people message me. So basically, anytime somebody goes to send me a message or like at me in a channel, something like that, they would actually see my status, which is at lunch, back at 2 p.m. You can set this to run for an hour, 4 hours, all day today, all week, or you can do like a custom setting if you want to. So if you wanted to set it for, you know, in this case, it's already passed, but you could do like, you know, 5 p.m., whatever. Let's do 5 p.m. just for the purposes of the demonstration here. So this is going to display until 5 p.m. If I get back early, I can disable this at any time. Just hit the little trash can, and that's going to delete the status message. I can switch from do not disturb back to available or busy. One other nice thing about your status is that if you have your Outlook and your Teams calendar synced, if you have like a project or something that's on your calendar, a lot of times it will actually update your icon for you to say busy if you're actually working on a project. But again, if it's ever showing the wrong status, it's very easy to change and really, really helpful to make sure that your teammates know when you are truly available and when you're busy. Okay. So now let's talk about chat. So you can see I've got like a little alert, a notification here on a chat. That means that somebody has sent me a new chat message. So I want to go ahead and check on that. Okay. So over here on the left-hand side, this is my column of recent chats, right? So I've had a chat with R2, Lando, dear old dad right there, Han Solo. I've also pinned a group chat to the top. So if you click on the ellipsis, it's going to give you the option. You can pin any chat thread to the top of the tab right here. So like, let's say you've got like a really important project that you're going to be working on for the next month. and you've got your team that you're working on this with, you can pin that chat to the top so it's always, right at the forefront of your focus there. You can unpin the chat if you want to, like if that project is concluded, you can unpin and then it'll just pop right back into your recent chats. So let's see what's going on with Han. This is the history of our communication. Han is pretty snarky most of the time. He said, Chewy is not too happy with you. Let me know when you're free. Accused me of cheating. Well, I never. So I'm going to go ahead and respond. So at this point, I could use an emoji. I could do a little dancing monkey. I've got the shades. I've got the puke emoji. I was accused of cheating, so I'm going to do the face palm. I'm going to hit send. Now, if that didn't get the message across, I could also do a GIF. So when you click on Gifs, you can search for a GIF of whatever you think is appropriate, right? So that's a good one. All right, so there you can see there's a GIF, okay? It's not wise to upset a Wookiee. That's true. So you can see that we had some formatting going on there. So if I wanted to do the same thing, he's using bold at me. So you can click on the format right here. So if I wanted to put that in bold, I can put it in bold, italic, underline. You can also change the font size. You can't do like 12 point or 14, but you can do small, medium, or large type. Okay. Then when you're ready, you could add a GIF to that or a sticker or an emoji. Again, when you're ready, you would just hit send. And there it is. Okay. So there he is. All right. So another really nice feature about the chat that we talked about was file sharing through a chat message. So I don't know how many emails you get, but I get a ton of emails from clients and from my team. I work very closely with my team, and so I get a bunch of emails. If my boss comes to me and says, hey, can you pull up that file I sent you the other day? Even if it was earlier this week, it might take me like 15 or 20 minutes to go through the emails that I have just from her. So what we've started doing is I'll actually send a file through Teams, which is really nice. So we're in the chat section right now with Han. I'm chatting directly with Han. And if I wanted to go to files, I can go to files. Luke saying something dumb. Thank you, Han. Appreciate that. So this is going to show you all of the files that basically have been included in the entire history of your chat with that person. So, if you've got really important documents, it's going to be easy to find them. You don't have to scroll all the way up through the chat. You can actually just click on files and access any files directly. All right. So that is the chat feature in a nutshell. If you wanted to add somebody in and make this a group chat, it's super easy. You can add someone right there. And again, these are your icons where you could initiate a video call with that person, or you could start an audio only call with Han if I just wanted to talk to him real quickly. I'm going to pass on that for now. Okay. So these are my other chats. Got one with Darth Vader. He wanted to talk to me about joining the dark side again, and I really wanted to know if they had cookies. That's going to be a deal breaker for me for sure. So this is your group chat. You can see who's in the group chat, okay? So we got chats going on with Lando. Lots of good stuff. So again, you could like or, put a little heart emoji, So again, very similar to what you're going to see on Facebook, right? So let's talk about Teams now. So I'm going to go back to the Teams tab. And these are my teams. So we've got the main team for the company, which is Star Sales LLC. We've got the sales team, and then over here we've got a hidden team, so I'm going to pop that open. We've also got an operations team, okay? So every team is going to come with its own general channel underneath. So those are, again, like default. It comes anytime you create a new team. You're going to get a general channel to begin with. And then this is where you can break it up into multiple sub-channels, right? So we've got next Death Star planning as a channel. Okay. So this is kind of like the news feed for that channel. Okay. So let's check the Millennium Falcon repairs real quick. I want to go down to that channel. So I'm going to click on Millennium Falcon repairs. So Chewie said something unintelligible here. Princess Leia responded. So I can see the replies. All right. So up here earlier, what I did is I wanted to tag everybody in the Millennium Falcon repairs channel. So here's how you would do that. So you can start a new conversation. So you can type @ and then Millennium. Okay. And it's going to tag the entire channel. So again, everybody who is a member of that channel would then get an alert or a notification. If I wanted to tag somebody individually, I could tag Mace. I could tag Darth Tyrannus there, Count Dooku, anybody you want, okay? So the search bar, this is another area where you can find a person or a channel or whatever you want. Again, if you were looking to chat with somebody directly, if you're on the chat page and you just search for a person, okay, I would be starting a new conversation with Boba Fett. So again, super easy. In addition to looking for people and channels, there's also a really nice list of shortcuts. If you type the /, I'll just leave the screen open there because there's a lot of different commands that you can do. If you're one of those techie people that love shortcuts for everything, you can do / and then again, a huge list of prompts and things that you can do there. Okay. So there's an activity real quick. I'll show you that one. Just because, again, that's what it's going to look like when it pops up. Who let him in this channel? Yeah, that's a good point. Why is he even in here? All right, so that's what your activity looks like. And that is basically what your channels and what the Teams tab is going to look like. Also, one thing that you can do, which is really nice, is you can share files with an entire group. So for instance, under the Millennium Falcon repairs channel, I can access files that have been uploaded, and these would be accessible to any member of this team, of this channel, I should say. So I'm going to click on that file, and these are the technical specs for the Falcon. You'll notice that these smuggling compartments are not notated on here. That was intentional. So I'm going to go back to Teams. And if I wanted to go back to the posts in that channel, you just click on posts, and I'm right back in Millennium Falcon repairs, okay? So now let's look at the calendar. So again, this is gonna look pretty similar to what you're used to in Outlook. You can meet now if you want to. So like this is like literally, I wanna do a video meeting right this second, and you're gonna add people to it. You can meet now. You can also schedule a meeting in advance. So you can click on new meeting, or you can click on the day that you want to actually set up this meeting. You would just click new meeting, and then you know, you saw what that looks like on the slides. You would just type out the people that you want to attend, and it'll send them that notification and the link to join the meeting. Okay. There's also the calls only tab. So if you wanted to initiate a call with somebody, you could go to the calls tab. You can also start a call from the chat if that's where you were previously. We already went over the files and the help section. So now what I want to do is show you how you can schedule a meeting through Outlook. And this is the way that you're going to want to do it if you are inviting people internally and externally to your meeting, okay? So I am in Outlook. So this is me, Luke Skywalker. All right, so this is my inbox, right? So I'm going to go over to my calendar tab. And you'll see right here, I can create a new Teams meeting. I can also just do like a regular, like a new appointment. So I could click on the day and just create a new appointment. While I'm in the middle of that, if I realize, you know what, I think I should actually make this a Teams meeting, you can just click on new Teams meeting and it will turn that appointment into a Teams meeting. Or again, you can, if you know right off the bat that you want it to be a Teams meeting, just click on new Teams meeting right there. Wait for this to load. Okay, 1 second, let me drag that over. Okay, so this is what it looks like, right? Just like a standard Outlook invite. So you would just type out whatever you want it to say. You can put the email addresses for people that are required to join the meeting. You can also put email addresses in the optional field. You know, if it's one of those meetings where it's like, hey, if you can make it, great. You'd put them in the optional field. This is where you can update the start and end time of the meeting, the dates. And this is the link. So this is exactly what it's going to look like when they open up that email. They're going to get the Join Microsoft Teams meeting link. All they have to do is click on that, and again, it's going to take them right into the meeting. It'll ask them if they want to join through the app or through the web browser version, and they can join either way. Super, super easy to do. Okay. So that's pretty much it in terms of the basics. There's a lot more that Teams can do. It can integrate with other apps. You can create, you know, polls, surveys, all kinds of different things that you can do with Teams. But the main purpose of the webinar today was just to introduce you, you know, to Microsoft Teams, let you know what it is, what it can do, and, you know, kind of see if this is something that you feel is going to be beneficial for you. I can say this is the best program that I've used, and I love it. I am in Teams all the time. So let me go back here for just a moment. And at this point, I am going to turn it over to Henry. So again, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you joining us for this. So I'm going to turn it over to Henry. And again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Michael. That was very informative overview. So we really appreciate you taking the time to do that for us. And I want to thank you all once again for joining us. If you have any further questions or would like to discuss setting up a Teams environment for your business, please feel free to reach out to me via email or a call. My information is right there on the screen. I know we have some clients and some prospective clients in the webinar today, so we want to thank you all for joining. For those of you who aren't yet a SouthTech client, if you'd like to see if SouthTech is a good fit for your needs and if we can be the right guide for you and your business, or just to find out a little bit more about how you're doing business today, you can go to southtech.com/paradise. We actually have a pretty cool self-evaluation that you can take that'll give you some pretty good insights into your business and how you're using technology today. So this concludes our webinar on Teams for today. Thank you, everyone, and take care.
Thanks.